We're number 2 in technology, according to Crain's New York Business. New York has supplanted Boston as the second most funded tech hub in the country. Mayor Bloomberg thinks that technology is the path to future prosperity and wants to create a center for technology innovation on Roosevelt Island. More recently, in his State of the State message, Governor Cuomo proposed high tech as key to saving New York's struggling upstate communities.
Buffalo, my friends, has the 3rd highest poverty rate in the nation. In the nation, not in New York, in the nation. Behind Detroit and Cleveland. 28% of the people in Buffalo are living in poverty. At a time when the state population was growing, Buffalo lost 10% of its population. This is another issue that has gone on for many, many years, while the state sat by and did not take dramatic action. It doesn't have to be that way. 25 years ago, the Capital District region, the region we're in today, Albany, had a struggling economy. The state began investing in Albany's high-tech industry. Today, Albany is home to a world-class center for nanotechnology. As the speaker mentioned, we just signed a new agreement with Intel and IBM, bringing thousands of additional jobs, and there's a vibrancy in the Capital District region around nanotechnology that would not have happened but for the state's investment. If we did it in Albany, we can do it in Buffalo. We believe in Buffalo. Let's put our money where our mouth is. We're ready to invest $1 billion in an economic development package for the city of Buffalo to bring business back to Buffalo. It's gone on for too long. It's going to stop today.
Well, if the governor and the mayor are to succeed in making New York more high-tech, we'll have to attract and keep top talent. Here to explain what it takes to do that are Dave Tisch, managing director of the startup accelerator TechStars NYC, and via Skype from Los Angeles, Jason Kalkanis, an angel investor and tech entrepreneur formerly based in New York. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming on. Hi, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
So, David, what's so great about New York?
You know, I think what's great about New York, especially with tech, is what's great about New York for everything but tech, is that people come here to succeed. People come here to be the best at what they are. And I think when you translate that to technology, you see people coming at this space from different backgrounds. So whether it's people leaving law, people leaving finance, consulting, fashion, and applying their talent and their knowledge to technology. And I think you see some really disruptive businesses forming in New York that come from other areas.
Incubators and accelerators seem to be popping up like dandelions. Are they producing actual businesses?
Absolutely. I think if you look at the top tier accelerators, the top tier incubators, you see really quality companies coming from them. Just like in colleges, you have good and bad schools, you probably have good and bad accelerators as well.
Companies being produced by them that I might have heard of?
A company called Dropbox came out of an accelerator. Another one called Airbnb also came out of an accelerator. SendGrid, which came out of Techstars, is a company that powers the email that you get from companies like Facebook, Foursquare, Twitter. As they send you email, it goes through the SendGrid server. So you see real companies emerging out of these accelerators.
Jason, you're in LA. Does Silicon Valley extend all the way down there now?
No, not exactly, but we do have a lot of media and video with the YouTube sort of explosion. It has created another industry here, but a lot of commerce out of here as well. But New York is absolutely the second best city to start a company out of after the Valley. But great companies can come from any city. So Foursquare, Tumblr, and a lot of great companies are coming out of New York now. And of course, during the Silicon Valley 1.0 era, you had iVillage, About.com, and DoubleClick. So you had a large number of companies. New York is the capital of many things, but advertising, media, publishing, finance are included in that. And the internet is driven today in a large way by content and advertising.
Jason, do you think that New York, Silicon Alley, and Silicon Valley in California are even really competitive with each other? If New York has the pre-existing New York industries that you've both been talking about, finance and fashion and media, for example, so certain tech startups grow up around these, and maybe in California it's other kinds of things. Are the two more complementary or more competitive?
They're not really competitive. Just Silicon Valley is a lot bigger in terms of the scale of it, and Silicon Valley is a one-trick pony. It's all tech all the time. New York, you have a lot of diversity in terms of industries, as David said, fashion, Wall Street, publishing, commerce. There's a lot of different businesses there. So I think New York is great because a lot of young people want to live in that city, and it really draws hungry people. But the base of technology in Silicon Valley, the 40 years of growing companies there, means that it's very, very, very easy to start a company there. Mm-hmm. In New York, it's easy, but it's not very, very, very easy.
Right. But David, one of the concerns about this tech campus Cornell location on Roosevelt Island that the mayor is so excited about, one of the concerns is that it will educate the best and the brightest, like MIT does right now in the Boston area, like Stanford does out near Silicon Valley, and then the people will leave and they'll go to Silicon Valley because the jobs will be better and the lifestyle will be better. Are you concerned about that?
Not at all. I think the startup scene, the technology scene here has developed over the past probably 3 to 4 years in a way that I don't think a single technology company here who's not hiring, and that just doesn't extend to engineers. It extends to salespeople, business people, operations, anything of the sort. And you see a company like Gilt Group. Gilt Group is scaling up on a huge basis in jobs that have nothing to do with pure technology. So I think there's going to be jobs for every single graduate that comes out of the Roosevelt Island campus.
So you don't see it as a zero-sum game?
No, I think it's definitely a more long-term value than short-term value, but I think in terms of 5, 10 years from now, the impact that school will have, tremendous.
Do you have a view, Jason, about this campus that's starting up in New York and whether it can compete with Stanford or MIT, or whether it needs to, or whether we even need big, huge technology campuses for tech sector job growth?
We definitely do need that. All cities need that. All cities are trying to get more developers and technical people into the workforce. There's an unlimited number of jobs for people who can program and can code. Unfortunately, even before college, our K through 12 system is not very good at producing engineers, and it's something Americans just don't have an interest in doing. And we've really got to start at a much younger age, instilling math, science, and engineering into students. It's not just going to be solved by colleges. It's got to go all the way down to the first, second, third grade. But if we do focus on that, it will turn the entire economy of our country around. That's why I'm very hopeful for our economy, because there's an unlimited opportunity for people with tech backgrounds to get employment, and not just employment, but really well-paying jobs. There's no drought of jobs for high-tech people. It's just a drought of high-tech people. It's people who know how to code.
That's really interesting. Do you find that here in New York too?
100%. I think that the more engineers, the better. And I think you'll see bigger companies start forming when there are more engineers, because the companies can scale. I think the biggest thing, Jason brought up Foursquare, brought up Tumblr. Those two companies have probably 30, 40 engineering roles open at all times.
New York companies.
Absolutely. And they'd love to scale. They just can't find the talent, whether it's here or in the Valley.
So is the problem, go ahead, Jason.
I was say we're probably in the 3rd or 4th inning of the internet. I know that sounds crazy to say since we're essentially 15 years into this, but it's really only the 3rd or 4th inning. There are 6 or 7 innings of innovation to occur. If we had 100 times the number of engineers, there's still so many more opportunities on a global basis to take advantage of. And the opportunity is quite literally unlimited because of the fact that internet companies now make more money outside the United States than they do inside the United States. The opportunity is truly global. And people talked about globalization, in the 90s, but it's actually happening now. Companies like Google or Foursquare, they might have more users outside and more revenue outside the United States than inside the United States.
And I agree, 3rd or 4th inning, I mean, maybe not even that. 15 years is nothing. When we were 15 years into electricity or 15 years into agriculture, it was still kind of the top of the first. David, on a policy level, what's the next thing you think that government should do? Getting involved to get this tech campus here is probably a really good thing. It sounds like something needs to be done with K through 12 science and math education. Is it that, or is it that and other things?
No, I think Jason's right. I think getting the K through 12, I guess K through 12 student base to understand that this is an option, to understand that this is a career, to really define what it means to work at a startup tech company. I think that's really important, is that people see, guys in jeans and a t-shirt going to work, and there's is that really work? Yes, it is, and it's probably more revolutionary work than almost any other sector. And getting that instilled in parents to let their kids learn what it means to work at a startup, to learn what it means to start a company, incredibly powerful. I think that, the numbers, I don't know them, but job creation starts at startup companies. It's the smallest companies that grow the job sector the most. And so I think encouraging the K through 12 group to understand what it means to go into these industries, incredibly important.
So, Jason, I introduced you before as somebody formerly from New York who now lives in LA, extremely successful as a tech company entrepreneur. Why'd you leave?
Well, I lost the lease on my big loft on 26th Street, and I was bi-coastal, and you come out to LA and you just sort of, it lulls you. But I'm dreaming of coming back to New York. I just need one big win, and then I'm going to try to buy the Knicks from Dolan. That's my dream. But on a serious note, you asked before about these accelerators and these incubators. It's my worldview that those are going to have a bigger impact, excuse me, a much bigger impact than anything a college could ever do. These programs are creating companies that actually are sustainable and growing. And even if they don't, if you compare them to higher education, which is an absolute complete ripoff, where you pay $100,000 or $200,000 and you come out with virtually no skills that are going to prepare you to start a company. These accelerators, like Techstars, which is a phenomenal one, and that's in Boston, Seattle, and New York, and Boulder, that program alone, I mean, they pay you money to then go learn how to be an entrepreneur. We should have 1,000 Techstars around the world, 1,000 Y Combinator around the world. These things are better than going to college, much better. I mean, if my daughter goes to college instead of starting a company, I'll be absolutely crushed.
If this was supposed to be a debate, it has definitely turned into a love fest, and that's okay with me. But David,
Jason's just jealous of not being in New York right now.
But what about
I am actually jealous. I wish I was back.
He was giving props to Techstars, Techstars NYC. Tell us what you do actually at Techstars.
So Techstars is like a boot camp for startup companies. We take applications like a college. We had 1,200 companies apply for our last program. We selected 12 of them. We give the 12 companies that get into our program about $120,000. 3.5 months of office space, but it really is focused around mentorship. And so what we're doing is bringing people in who've been there, done that before, to sit down with our companies, to work one-on-one with the companies for that 3.5 month period to help them do better, accelerate, if you will.
Good luck in New York.
Thank you.
Jason, good luck in LA. And if you buy the Knicks, invite me to a game, okay?
I will, absolutely, courtside.
And that's it for this week's show. We roll out a new episode Wednesday nights at 7:30. Or see us anytime at CUNY.tv. And check out my daily radio show weekday mornings at 10 on WNYC. Tomorrow morning, does air travel need to be so annoying? That's on 93.9 FM and AM 820 WNYC. Talk to you then.